What's going on, guys? Sharpshot here. Hope you guys are having a great day so far. So today's video we'll be looking at the top 3 new survivor builds from the 7.5.0 update. This patch is dropping with a licensed survivor in Alan Wake. So in this video I'll focus on making the best possible build out of Alan Wake's 3 teachable perks, so you guys can mix it up and have some fun using some new DVD perks while still doing good in your trials. I'm going to be ranking these builds from worst to best, with 3 being the worst and 1 being the best. But don't worry if you like number 3 over number 1. Alan Wake's perks are by no means meta, and neither are these builds. They're all just made to have fun but still do well in your trials, so you'll be able to succeed and have some fun with any of these 3 builds. And for each of these builds I'm going to be explaining what each perk does, and then I'm going to summarize why all 4 of those perks make for the best build possible. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into the video. Coming in number 3, we have the Illumination build, which is going to be a team-oriented Gen Rush playstyle build with Illumination, Overzealous, Circle of Healing, and Prove Thyself. With Illumination, when you're inside of the boon range, you get to see the aura of all of the generators and chests around the map in blue, and if the tome is active, you also get to cleanse and bless totems 10% faster. So on a Gen Rush build, being able to see where all the gens are in the trial will be a huge help to getting to that next gen even faster, and being able to bless the next totem that much faster will help out a lot in getting Overzealous back if you lose it. With Overzealous, after you cleanse or bless a totem, if it was a dull totem, you work on gens 10% faster, and if it was a hex totem, you work on gens 20% faster, and this bonus repair speed stays active until you lose a health state. So this will be your main gen progression booster in this build, and once you bless a totem, if you stay away from the killer, you'll essentially be able to work on gens that much faster for the rest of the trial, and this perk becomes a complete game changer if you end up finding a hex totem. With Boon Circle of Healing, inside of its range, you're able to heal other survivors 100% faster or twice as fast, and if a survivor is injured inside of that aura, all of the other survivors can see their aura. This is a great boon combo with Illumination, and is what's actually going to get the survivors to go inside of that boon range so they can heal each other that much faster, and it's what's going to give Illumination even more value, because while the survivors are inside healing, they can take the time to look at the Illumination auras, and if you do end up getting injured and lose Overzealous, you can always go back to your boon totem and get healed up by another survivor to then be able to start a new Overzealous run healthy. With Prove Thyself, whenever you're working on generators with other survivors, you get a bonus 10% repair speed up to a maximum of 30% for each survivor working on the gen. So on a Gen Rush build, Prove Thyself will allow you to actually fly through the gens if you work on them with teammates. Teammates are actually your 5th secret perk on this build, because you're able to work on gens even faster with them. If the killer walks up to you guys, you can run away and have a survivor take the chase for you so you can keep your Overzealous, and the teammates will be the one to heal you back up to the healthy if you do end up losing your Overzealous. These 4 perks work really well together in creating a Gen Rush build that also benefits your teammates. Once you find and bless your first totem, you'll be able to work on gens faster with Overzealous and easily be able to see the gen you want to work on with Illumination. And the boon combo of Illumination and Circle of Healing will get your teammates inside of the boon range to first heal faster with Circle of Healing, and while they're healing, this will give more value to Illumination because they could just look at the auras while they're healing. And if you do lose Overzealous and a health state, you'll be able to gain back Overzealous even faster by booning a new totem with the faster Illumination blessing speeds, and survivors will then be able to heal you inside of that boon range, and you guys will all be able to go off and work on a new gen with Prove Thyself, which will make the gens fly by, and if the killer comes up, the teammates can even take the killer away from you so you can save your Overzealous. Coming in number 2, we have the Deadline build, which will be an ultimate great skill check build. With Deadline, Hyper Focus, Stakeout, This Is Not Happening, or Resilience. With Deadline, whenever you're in the injured state, you get 10% more triggered skill checks, and these skill checks appear in random places like doctor skill checks, and if you do miss a skill check, the gen regression penalty is reduced by 50%. These skill checks are annoying, but you do get a noticeably more amount of skill checks while you're injured, which is going to end up compounding with Hyper Focus and allow you to get even more gen progress with the Hyper Focus stacks. With Hyper Focus, whenever you get a great skill check on a gen, you gain 1 stack and you can have a maximum of 6 stacks, and for each token you get 4% more skill checks. The skill check rotation speed is increased by 4%, and the bonus progression you get per great skill check is increased by 30%, and if you do miss a great skill check, you lose all the tokens that you had. So this is the main gen progression perk on this build, and the more skill checks you do get per hyper focus stack, on top of the more skill checks you get with deadline, the more hyper focus stacks you're going to end up getting, which means even more gen progress. With stakeout, every 15 seconds you're inside of the killer's tear radius, you gain 1 token up to a maximum of 4, and whenever you perform a good skill check, a stakeout stack is going to get consumed and it's going to turn into a great skill check. So this will just give you free great skill checks to be able to keep your hyper focus stack streak going, which will in turn give you even more gen progress because you're going to be getting more hyper focus stacks. With this is not happening, whenever you're injured, the great skill check zone is increased by 30%. The deadline hyper focus skill checks are really hard because they appear in random places and get faster and faster. So having a bigger great skill check zone will make the skill checks a lot easier, which will just make it a lot easier to get more gen progress. But if you already are an absolute pro at those really tough great skill checks, you can end up swapping out this is not happening for resilience, so that while you are injured and have deadline active, you're just going to be able to get a 9% bonus repair speed while working on that gen. These 4 perks work really well together in creating a great skill check build that allows you to get gen progress even faster than ever before. You'll be able to get more skill checks with deadline, which will compound with getting even more great skill checks with each hyper focus stack, which will in turn allow you to get more stacks of hyper focus, which means more gen progress. And these deadline hyper focus skill checks are to be super tough, so stakeout will give you free great skill checks and keep your hyper focus stack streak going. And this is not happening will help make the skill checks even easier with bigger great skill check zones. But if you're a pro at these skill checks and you don't need the extra help, you can also just swap out this is not happening for resilience to be able to work on the gens even faster when you're injured. Coming in at number 1, we have the Champion of Light build, which is going to be a speedy flashlight blind playstyle build with Champion of Light, fixated, background player, and empathy. With Champion of Light, whenever you're shining your flashlight, you gain a bonus 50% haste, and if you do blind the killer, you give them a 20% hinder stats effect for the next 6 seconds, and this perk goes on cooldown. The combo of being able to move faster and hindering the killer will give you more distance in the chase if you blind the killer, or allow the flashlight safe survivor to gain even more distance running away from the killer. With fixated, your walk speed is increased by 20%, and you also get to see your own scratch marks. So this seems like an interesting perk to run on this build, but the faster walking speed means that when you shine your flashlight with Champion of Light, you'll actually be moving at running speed while shining that flashlight, which will get you even more distance in a chase if you do pull off the blind. It could throw off the killer inside of that loop by giving you deceptive speed, and it'll allow you to reach even further flashlight saves you wouldn't have been able to reach with background player on its own. With background player, whenever a survivor gets picked up by the killer, for the next 10 seconds, if you start running, you break into a 200% sprint burst for the next 5 seconds. So this perk is a must-have on flashlight save builds because it allows you to get up right next to killer regardless of the direction they were facing when they picked up the survivor if you had been close enough, because you're literally the flash and you get to run so far so fast. With empathy, you get to see the aura of injured survivors up to 128 meters away. That's basically the entire map, and it'll allow you to see which survivor is injured and being chased, so you can get up really close to them so that when they do get down, you're right there for that flashlight save. These 4 perks work really well together in creating a flashlight build that not only works for flashlight saves but also really well inside of chases. While shining your flashlight, you'll be moving at running speed with the Champion of Light fixated movement speed combo, which means you'll be able to gain a ton of distance from the killer if you pull off a blind and hinder the killer. Adding background player into this combo will allow you to reach the maximum distance for flashlight saves possible, and empathy will allow you to get close by to the injured survivor that's in a chase so that when they do get down, you're right there for that flashlight save. So yeah guys, those were the top 3 builds coming out of the Alan Wake update. Comment below which one of these builds was your favorite and any other fun builds you found with Alan Wake's perks. So yeah guys, that's been the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe if you're new. This has been Sharpshaw, and I will see you guys in the next video.